I'd like to call this meeting of Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting to order Tuesday, April 11th. And if you would, Commissioner Conder, would you lead us in a prayer and the pledge?
Thank you, Judge. If everyone could, pray with us. Dear Lord, we finished celebrating Easter this past Sunday, giving the ultimate sacrifice of Christ our Lord to all people, sinners and saints, Gentiles and Jews. Make sure that we understand that that sacrifice goes on today for each and every one of us, no matter where we are. I ask you, dear Lord, to be able to touch fiscal court as we make the decisions for your people. Judge Castlin, Commissioner Castlin, Janie, Commissioner Marksberry, and myself. That we do the right thing for the right reason, not only today, but in all the days to come. We ask this in your name. Amen. Amen. And now our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Conder. Jenny.
Item 1, consideration for presentation. A, proclaim April 2023 as Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention Month.
Commissioner Marksberry.
Daviess County, Kentucky proclamation. Whereas child abuse and neglect is a serious problem in our society, affecting every segment of Daviess County, and whereas our children are our most valuable resources and will shape the future of Daviess County and the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and whereas child abuse is considered one of our nation's most serious public health problems, with scientific studies documenting the link between abuse and neglect of children and a wide range of medical, emotional, psychological, and behavioral disorders. And whereas child abuse can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects that have lasting consequences for victims of abuse. Whereas every child is entitled to be loved, cared for, nurtured, feel secure, and free of verbal, sexual, emotional, and physical abuse and neglect. It is the responsibility of every adult who comes in contact with a child to protect that child's right to a safe and nurturing childhood. And whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships created between social service agencies, schools, health, community, and faith-based organizations, law enforcement agencies, businesses, and families. And whereas prevention remains the best defense, and communities must make every effort to promote programs and activities that create and encourage strong, thriving children and families. Now, therefore, in Daviess County, Kentucky, Daviess County Judge Executive Charlie Castlin does hereby proclaim April 2023 as Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention Month.
Thank you, Commissioner Marksberry. I think we have Amanda Hertz with us, and you brought a group with us. So if you could come up here to the podium and maybe introduce who you brought with you, and if some of them want to make a comment, they're welcome to.
Thank you for the invite today. I'm here with members of the Community Collaboration for Children, along with some 8th grade students from Owensboro Innovation Middle School. I am the Youth Service Coordinator at Owensboro Innovation Middle School, and I would like to introduce Lucy Doyle, Lucy Whitaker, Kane Herrera, Peter Gonzalez, and John Martin Phillips. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I think one of you had the mic before if you want to make some comments.
Hello, my name is Kane Herrera, and I came here to tell you why we decided to start doing this project and why we are so passionate about it. At the beginning of March, we were told that we were denied a request to be able to light the bridge blue in order to support our cause. And we were, what we would like to believe, rightfully angry about this. And so our teacher assigned us an assignment. Write an editorial to Mark Pagan, no, not Mark Pagan, Nate Pagan, telling him why we believe that we should be able to light the bridge blue. And as 5 students were chosen, and we wrote these articles hoping to cause like a change in our community, because we all really are passionate about this change. It's something really important to all of us. Owensboro's youth is our future, and we believe we should protect our future. When we first heard that we were going to be in the newspaper, all of us were ecstatic. We were really happy that we were finally getting our voice heard, and that things that we were saying and what we believed was actually getting out there, and we weren't just being silenced and we weren't being ignored. And now that we're in this courtroom, it feels like a lot more real. It feels like our voices are being heard, and we're making a change in our community, which is something that I know that all of us really want. When I heard that we were going to be on the news, I was super ecstatic, because this is something that's personally affected me. Child abuse is something that's affected me personally. It's affected family members, and child abuse affects everyone, even if you're not being abused, even if you don't know anyone being abused, it'll affect the entire community. And us being acknowledged is so important.
I received an email after y'all's picture had been in the newspaper from Commissioner Conder asking if it was okay to light the courthouse in the color you requested, blue. And we're not doing it for the whole month, but we are doing, I know y'all are going to be out at KWC again on Friday, and we're going to do it Friday night and Saturday night through the weekend. So that was per Commissioner Conder's request.
Thank you.
So if you don't mind, we'd like to come out front and get our picture with you. And then if there's others that want to have comments to make, you're welcome to. Yeah, y'all come up here.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let me take one more. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Thank you.
Kane, you did a nice job. You can give it to your teacher.
Just so everyone sees, I wear the lapel pin, that is the purple pinwheel, or blue pinwheel, and I've done it for years. My grandchildren gave it to me. So for you, wear the crown. Okay? Thank you all.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christy James, and I thank you for the opportunity to be at this podium today. I would like to give a special thanks to the I-Middle students and to Amanda for helping us with this project. So my role is I'm the Community Collaboration for Children Program Coordinator for our region, and I have all of these people who helped me put on the annual Stand Against Child Abuse. I could not do it alone, so I'm very thankful. So I would just like to extend a personal invitation to all of you to come and join us Friday night from 4:30 to 7:30 at Kentucky Wesleyan College. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. And you all do not have to stay for the rest of the meeting, but thank you for coming. You are welcome to if you like, but you certainly don't have to. Jenny.
B, proclaim April 9 through 15, 2023 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week.
Commissioner Conder.
Thank you, Judge. From the Office of the County Judge Executive, whereas emergencies occur requiring police, fire, and medical services, and their prompt response is critical to the preservation of life and property. And whereas the safety of our law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical responders is dependent on the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who call Owensboro Daviess County 911 Emergency Communication Center. And whereas when emergencies arise, public safety telecommunications are the first and most critical contact citizens have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single most vital link for our law enforcement responders and firefighters by monitoring their radio activities, providing them information and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators have contributed substantially to criminal apprehensions, fire suppression, and patient care, and they do so with compassion, understanding, and professionalism. And now, therefore, in Daviess County, Kentucky, Daviess County Judge Executive Charlie Castlin do hereby proclaim April 9th through the 15th, 2023, as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, presented in Daviess County, Kentucky, this 11th day of April 2023, which I believe Paul Nave, the esteemed director of our 911 Center, is here to accept.
Thank you, Commissioner. It's an honor and privilege to be here today. The 911 Center is critical to today's society because of, you can see the shootings and everything that goes on in this world. And I'm so proud of my staff. I'm absolutely proud of what they do every day, of answering calls and making a difference in people's lives. Every day when you wake up, you don't think, well, today's the day I'm going to call 911. But when you do, you expect it to work and you want it to be there for you. And we're honored to be able to answer those calls and make a difference in your life and get you help when you need help. So today's a week that we just want to celebrate, to acknowledge the hard work they do, the stress they endure, and it's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job. So when you're sleeping at Christmas, opening up presents, somebody's there answering 911, making a difference. And I just want to thank you for recognizing my staff, because I'm proud of them. I mean, thoroughly proud of what they do every day, and I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Well, thank you, Paul, for what you do and for what all of your people do for us.
Thank you so much.
Let's go down there.
You're welcome.
Here we are. 3, 2, 1. Take one more. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Thank you.
Two, consideration for approval, A, minutes of the March 23rd, 2023 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Got a motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
B, all claims for all departments.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Got a motion second. Do anybody have any questions for our treasurer? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
C, Resolution 10, 2023, and MOA regarding the Griffith Station Road project.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Got a motion second. Mr. Brasher.
Yes, Judge. This is an agreement with the Highway Department. We applied for $325,000 to improve the condition of Griffith Station Road between Kentucky 279 and approximately the railroad track crossing. That section of road is currently chip and seal. It is degrading over time. I would recommend approval.
Any questions for Mr. Brasher?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
D, Resolution 11, 2023, transportation of non-public school students.
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
Got a motion and second. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Judge. The Daviess County Public School System invoices Daviess County Fiscal Court to provide bus transport for non-public school students in the county per KRS 158.115, which the state will reimburse once all costs have been reconciled and billed accordingly for that fiscal year. This resolution is a required part of our application to the state to participate in the program to receive reimbursement for these expenses. The court has participated in this reimbursement program for over 20 years. The resolution is standard. I see no issues, and I would recommend approval.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Johnson? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
E, Resolution 12, 2023, and fiscal year 2024 County Road Aid Cooperative Agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Mr. Johnson.
This is the county road aid we receive annually to offset the expense of the road department. It is an allocation of the motor fuel taxes imposed by the state. The allocation for 23-24 for Daviess County is $1,629,095.39. We will receive this funding in installments. The first installment is 60% of the total, which we typically receive in August. The second installment is 30% of the total, typically received in February. And then there is the final distribution, which is based on actual revenues. As per usual, the state will withhold 3% of the total allocation for a statewide emergency fund. It should be noted county road aid can only be used on the construction, reconstruction, and maintenance of county roads. The accompanying resolution is a requirement of the agreement. This is a standard annual process, and I would recommend approval.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Johnson? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
F, amend the gas rights and development agreement with Owensboro RNG LLC.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Mr. Smith.
Yes. Back in April of 2020, the fiscal court signed an agreement with Owensboro RNG to develop our methane gas at the Daviess County landfill. At the time, both us and Owensboro RNG were hopeful and thought that the gas pipeline that runs through the landfill could accept the gas, and that the high voltage power line through our property could supply the electricity to the plant to clean it. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and so in the process of them having to get right-of-ways and so forth to attach to a different pipeline and to bring electricity in, they are requesting a one-year extension to the time of when construction begins and to when gas production begins. So it just delays it from this year to next year.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Smith? I had met with Mr. King and Mr. Smith and a couple other members of Mr. King's team, and they explained what David just explained to us, and to me it makes sense to give them the extension they've requested, and I look forward to them being able to complete the project. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
G, MOA, establishing an agreement for election equipment with the Commonwealth of Kentucky, Office of the Governor, Department of Local Government, Office of State Grants.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Judge, this is the MOA resulting from our application to the State Board of Elections for reimbursement of the unreimbursed portion of the voting system purchased in October 2021. Once approved, the Department of Local Government will reimburse Fiscal Court $182,971 to offset that original expense. As a note, this will be our final reimbursement from House Bill 1 funds available in fiscal year 22-23. Legal and myself have reviewed it. It is in order, and I would recommend approval.
Any questions for Mr. Johnson? No. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
H, MOU and agreement regarding the 2024 Sporting Clays Championship.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Mr. Lee.
Judge, we are presenting to the court an agreement with the Kentucky Sporting Clays Association, highlighting 23 specific areas that will be addressed regarding the state championship that would be taking place August 16th through the 18th, 2024 at the Mattingly Target Sporting Range. This has been since 2011 since we've had this event hosted at that facility. We are expecting approximately 200 shooters over those 3 days and offer a large number of different events. I would recommend approval.
Any questions for Mr. Lee?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Ross, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I, non-recurring project number 23-830.1-05, non-flooring, or new flooring in judges' offices, change order number 1.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Judge, the court had originally awarded bid number 222346 office flooring project for the Judicial Center in the amount of $37,895. One of the judges, however, has requested a different type of flooring, which increased the total cost to $38,774.74. The Administrative Office of the Courts has agreed to reimburse this amount in full. This is their approval letter for the change order and the adjusted total. I see no issues, and I would recommend approval.
Any questions for Mr. Johnson?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
J, terminate bid number 2223-07, one new 3/4-ton four-wheel drive extended cab pickup truck.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Judge. I've included in your binders the original evaluation report for bid number 222307, which was for a vehicle for the landfill. Polk Chevrolet has notified us that due to production and part shortage, they cannot honor the bid. They have apologized, stated they have no control over their inability to secure a unit. And since our relationship with Pogue has been historically positive, and since fiscal court must take action on a previously awarded bid if the bid cannot be satisfied, I'm recommending termination of the contract under Section 3.22, subsection 3, subsection A, with no penalty since supply chain issues seem to be the problem. I would recommend termination.
Any questions for Mr. Johnson?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
K, reappoint Langley Roby to the Parks Board to a partial term of 1 year, effective 4/1/2023.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
L, appoint Bill Duncan to the Parks Board, effective 4/1/2023.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. I want to just take a moment and thank, I neglected to thank Langley Roby for serving in this capacity and agreeing to serve an additional term. Want to thank Mr. Duncan for agreeing to serve, and also thank Mr. Bruce Kegel for his 6 terms that he has served on the Parks Board. That's a long time, and we appreciate his dedication to our community. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
M, second reading of KOC A.102.01, 2023, budget amendment number 1.
Motion to approve.
Second. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Judge. The first reading for this budget amendment was held on March 23rd, 2023, and all publication requirements have been met. It has since been approved by the state local finance officer as to form and classification, and now requires fiscal court approval to become effective. As a recap, this is to amend the budget to reflect the reimbursement of voting equipment from the State Board of Elections in the total amount of $303,500, and the funds resulting from the KIA Grant Assistance Agreement in the amount of $1,050,000 for the Jack Hinton Road Water Main Project. I request your approval.
Any questions for Mr. Johnson? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3, consideration for discussion, a first reading of KO.
Jenny, let me just real quick, for the commissioners, remember this is first reading on these next 4 items. We will not be taking a motion or a second. Go ahead.
First reading of KOC 150.16, 2023, and ordinance repealing and replacing KOC 150.14 relating to a special transient room tax for the sole purpose of meeting the operating expenses of a convention center.
We don't have a motion or second on this one. Mr. Smith, you want to speak to this?
Yes. So we became aware in the last month or two that there were multiple changes to the state law regarding who we collect the tax from and who is exempt from it. And so we added the language, the prior court added language to deal with the Airbnbs and third-party retailers, but we neglected to to change it regarding the exemption for anyone who stays in an accommodation for 30 days or more. And so we needed to go through and then change all of our ordinance for that. And then we also went through all of the state law to look at other areas.
Okay.
So in this one, the only thing we had to change was there at the end where it says transient room taxes shall not apply to rooms, lodgings, or campsites. And there were a few other changes that state law made to that section, but it was just mainly getting rid of different accommodation types.
Okay. Is there anyone from first of all, are there any questions from the commissioners?
No.
Is there anyone from the audience wish to address this item? Hearing none. Next item, Jenny.
B, first reading of KOC 150.17, 2023, an ordinance relating to the Daviess County Convention and Visitors Bureau and transient room tax as amended by KOC 150.1/R.2, KOC 150.4, KOC 150.12, and KOC 150.15.
Again, this is a first reading, so on an ordinance, so we will not have a motion or a second. Mr. Smith, do you want to speak to this one? This is a little more involved.
This one had a few more changes to it, and I'll just go through section by section that did change. So in section 2, we are removing the word Owensboro from the title of the organization. We're doing this because the city of Owensboro has its own tourist commission. In fact, it's called the Owensboro Tourist and Convention Commission. And we were concerned of the potential of confusion among both the hotels in paying it and others. We also did some research and found there's about 10 other cities and counties in the state or counties with cities that have their CVBs. And in only one occasion did the fiscal court keep the name of the city in it. So we thought we would do as most of the others in the state have done. In section 3, it is regarding who we collected from and the exemption, which was reflected in the other ones to conform to state law. In section 7, we removed the language that we had that all of the money collected would be dispersed to the CVB and instead replaced it with language from state statute, KRS 91A 390, subsection 3, that says a portion of the money collected as determined by the fiscal court upon the advice and consent may be used to finance the cost and acquisition, with the balance collected going to the CVB. This language, as I said, conforms exactly to state law and is actually used for Louisville Metro government, as well as very similar language in Ashland, Frankfort, Murray, and Bowling Green. In section 8, section 8, we install a budget process where the CVB then will come to this court and for us to approve their budget, which would actually have to be a necessary thing. If we're not going to allocate 100% of the money, then we need to have their budget beforehand. In that case, we looked at the language from Jessamine County up in central Kentucky and how they handled it. Finally, also in section 8 deals with vacancies, and instead of including all of the language, if there's not existing hotel, motel associations, et cetera, we just reference the state statute, just removing all of the verbiage and just saying it's as set out in 91A.360. In section 9, we removed that language, which was allowing the city to directly appoint a member of the CVB. As we were looking through all of the changes in statutes, we ran across a 1975 Attorney General opinion that stated that only the organizations or the entities that create the CVB are allowed to appoint members to it. In that case, it was the opposite situation where a city was creating a CVB and were asking if a county judge could make an appointment, and the Attorney General said that no, a county that would not have the authority to appoint a member to a board created unilaterally by a city. And that's even was more spelled out in state statute in 1992. And then I guess Section 12 changes just because we're the only appointing authority and we've set up a new budget system. And Section 13 just removes that they need to adhere to the city and county budget cycle of fiscal year. So
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners? Mr. Conder.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Smith, the next ordinance also is probably in regards to this, but when will these go into effect? Because you're a little late in the budgetary process for 23-24, so when will this actually happen? All of the changes?
Well, all of the changes will be effective immediately, but regarding the budget line items, that specifically states it'll start after the beginning of the next fiscal year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions from the public? Seeing none, all those no. Jenny, next item.
C, first reading of KOC B.53, 2023, an ordinance of the County of Daviess, Kentucky, amending KOC B.48, 2012, and KOC B.52, 2022, which authorized the issuance of general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2012B, transient room tax supported project, in aggregate principal amount $1,910,000 to reflect the additional revenue sources authorized in KRS 91A.390.
Mr. Smith.
Yes, so Section 1, like the previous, or like the first ordinance, it only changes Section 1 in who we collect the tax from, and then the exemption for any stay of 30 days or more.
Okay. And just for the public, David, correct me if I'm wrong. The reason there's three ordinances is that one the tax is actually broken into three different pieces. Isn't that right?
Yes, correct.
If you want to speak to that.
Yes, so the state statute has an up to a 3% hotel tax for the funding of tourist functions in the county. Then they allow for communities our size, they allow two special transient room taxes. That's why you'll see some of these ordinances will use the word special. We're allowed a 1% special for the operation of a convention center, and we are also allowed 2% for the funding to support debt for the funding of a fine arts center in the central business district of the community. So it's very prescribed how you can use the 2% tax. And that was the last one we dealt with. That's why it's related to a bond, is because you can only access that money on bonded indebtedness.
Okay, thank you. Jenny, next item.
D, first reading of KOC 560.4, 2023, an ordinance relating to the equipment of emergency vehicles in Daviess County.
Mr. Smith.
Yes, in 2009, the Fiscal Court by ordinance authorized which local law enforcement agencies may use emergency lights. With the creation of the Daviess County Public Schools Police Department, we need to amend the ordinance to allow them to use lights in response to incidences within the school system.
Any questions for Mr. Smith?
Nope.
Next item, Jenny.
E, other business to be brought before the Daviess County Fiscal Court. I'm not aware of any.
Okay, next
F,
item.
public comments.
This is a part of our agenda where we allow and invite the members of the audience who wish to speak to any item that was not on the agenda to come forward and do so. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jason Roberts. For the past 32 years, I've been the investigator for the Daviess County Attorney Child Support Division. I'm going to be leaving that position on April 30th, and I know it's a little bit late in the process, but before I go, I want to encourage Fiscal Court to assist Mr. Burlew and improve the funding to the Child Support Division. The Child Support Division receives its entire operating budget from the Cabinet for Health and Family Services. The cabinet uses what's been called an outdated and arcane formula to determine what the budget for each county is going to be. And that formula bears little resemblance to what it actually costs to operate the program. And essentially, our budget at the Child Support Division has been flat since 2014. The Child Support Division is working on over 5,000 cases. A lot of people don't realize just how many cases we have here, and that kind of sets some people back. Many of our clients are low income. They can't afford to hire an attorney to come in and collect the child support for them. And very often the child support is the difference between them being able to provide for their basic needs or ending up on welfare. And obviously with 5,000 cases, the division has a direct impact on a significant number of families in this county. And even though we've been plagued with funding issues for years, by the cabinet standards, we are doing what they call meeting expectations, which means, yeah, you're doing all right. Since we're meeting expectations, it's unlikely they will ever provide any additional funding to the Child Support Division. They provide you the same funding whether you're doing a great job or doing a poor job. They use that funding formula, and you get what you get. It doesn't matter how good you do or how poorly you do. It doesn't make any difference. So I believe as public servants, we have a moral obligation to provide the best service possible to the public. To that point, on the constraints of our current budget, the office cannot handle 5,000 cases effectively. It's kind of like trying to put out a house fire with a garden hose. It takes a toll on everybody over there, and we're trying to do the best we can with what we got. Now, like I said, I know it's late in the budget process, but I think the families of Daviess County deserve better. The cabinet's meeting expectations standard is not acceptable as far as I'm concerned, especially when we're talking about the children of this community. That's why I'm asking again, it's kind of late in the process, I know, but that's why I'm asking Fiscal Court to consider providing additional funding to the Child Support Division, and let's make a real difference in the lives of the kids in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to anything that was not on the agenda? Yes, sir.
Hello, Judge, Sheriff Brad Youngman, Commissioners, Mr. Burley. I know Mayor Patsy Mayfield was here a few weeks ago to talk to you all and invited you to the grand opening and ribbon cutting of our Daviess County Sheriff's Office field office that'll be located in Whitesville City Hall. I just want to remind you about that. I talked to Ms. Mayfield prior to this meeting. The hours, I know there's a lot going on this weekend with the community cleanup and other things, and that's great. That's what we love about this community. When springtime hits, we've all got things to do on Saturday and Sunday. So, but if you can find time to come by, it starts at 10 o'clock. The open house portion will be from 10 to 1, with the formal part of the day being right at 10 o'clock with the ribbon cutting. I know there'll be a prayer. Any elected officials that would like to speak are more than welcome to do so. Keep it brief, please. And then we'll have an open house after that. So I wasn't looking at you. I wasn't looking at anybody in particular. But if anybody has any questions in the meantime, please get a hold of me. But myself and my command staff are really looking forward to this, to be able to provide more law enforcement to that part of the community. And we'll be out there that day, too.
Very good.
Thank you.
Sheriff Youngman,
Yes,
if
ma'am.
you don't mind.
Sure.
The widening of Thurston-Dermott Road seems to be happening, and I just found out the number of accidents in the last 2 years has been 13. But also it's been brought to my attention there's a more pressing intersection where 2 deaths have recently occurred.
Yes,
that is US 60 and Halls Boulevard. So I would hope this area would address that soon, would be addressed soon. Do you have anything you could add to that, please?
Yes, ma'am, I do. You're right. You and I have spoken recently about Thurston-Dermott, about the increase in traffic and congestion out there. 13 wrecks in 2 years doesn't seem like that many. What I'd like to do is go back and get you some more historical data so that we can look back over a wider period of time at how much, if that's been an increase. I would think with more traffic, there would be more wrecks, so I'd say that probably is an increase. As you know, it is a very congested area. There's a lot of hills, there's no shoulder. And people do speed down there. It's even hard to sometimes it's hard to enforce the speeding there because there's nowhere for us to sit to monitor the traffic. And if you pass someone speeding, it's hard to turn around and go back and get them. So that's something that we'll be looking at too. With regard to Halls Boulevard and 60 East, that I do think, and we've spoken with Mark about that, I do think that is something that we need to look at. We need to ask the state for some sort of enhanced traffic control out there. People, the bypass is a higher speed limit, it's a higher speed zone. They're coming down off that hill. They haven't slowed down yet. People pulling off of Halls Boulevard are negotiating that traffic at a very busy intersection. And as you mentioned, unfortunately, between December and January, we did have 2 very bad wrecks there that resulted in 2 deaths. So, yes, ma'am. Anything you need on that that my office can help you with, we'd be glad to do so.
Thank you.
And thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Judge, I just want to be able to highlight at Yellow Creek Park on Thursday, April the 20th, the Daviess County Conservation District will be doing their annual tree seedling giveaway. There's about 11 different species of trees that will be provided by the Conservation District until supplies run out. But again, they'll start at 8 o'clock at Yellow Creek Park on Thursday, April the 20th. If you have any questions, you could reach out to the Conservation District at 270-685-1707, extension 3. But that will be, again, on April the 20th at Yellow Creek Park.
Thank you very much. Say 8 a.m. till they're out of trees?
They're scheduled from 8 until 3, but typically they go through their trees pretty quick. There are about 6 different types of oaks, bald cypress, pecan, yellow poplar, pawpaw, and persimmon that'll be available as well. So again, these are small seedlings, but it's a way to get started.
How many, do you know how many trees I'll give to each person?
I think it's a limit actually of 10 seedlings per person, per vehicle. Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, let's go to the commissioners. Let's see here. Who am I going to go today? I'm going to go with Commissioner Marksberry.
You did that last time.
Well, I'm going to do it again.
Thank you, Judge. Well, it was great to see those kids here today, wasn't it? I
was.
just really enjoyed that, and I'm so happy for their passion. Food insecurity continues to be a problem in our community. In particular, fresh food is impossible to buy in certain areas of town due to lack of grocery stores. So I've been in discussion with members of the farmers market and other resources to combat this issue, and I encourage the community to reach out to me directly if anyone has any interest or ideas as we are moving into the growing season. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Castle.
I want to remind everybody about the Operation Community Cleanup that's going to happen this Saturday. And at 7:30 Saturday morning, meeting at 1010 Allen Street. This is actually being put on by the Isaac Sterrett Adventure Foundation. And for all of us that are tired of seeing trash alongside the road and knowing that we don't always have the resources to pick it up, the community is coming together to help do this, to pick things up. You can put a team in for it, or you can just show up as an individual. If you come as a team, then there is a prize of a trophy with the big trash can on top. Your team name gets to be engraved on the trophy, and it gets passed around from year to year. So nothing, no entry fees. If you get on their website at the Isaac Sterrett, and Isaac is spelled ISSAC, Sterrett, STERETT, the Isaac Sterrett Adventure Foundation, it's on their website. You can find out how to register or other information you might need about if you need to bring gloves, reflective vests. They have those for you if you don't have them, but if you can bring them, go ahead. And they'll provide the bags, and they'll be weighing the trash at the end to see who wins.
Thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Commissioner Conder.
And Grouch is not going to show up.
Is Oscar not going to be?
I will not, as I was at the...
Okay.
No, at Rooster Booster, yes, but for this, though, we've got another person that'll be Oscar the Grouch.
It'll be about 75 degrees, and somebody be sweating like
and
a
he'll
kid.
be sweating down, that's right.
Somebody down there did. I have a question, though, for Mr. Roberts, if I could, or maybe the county attorney. Has any of our local state officials been informed of this issue with the formula not being really up to par for that to be changed in any form or fashion from the state level?
I know that I planted a seed in DJ's ear, but I don't know how much control, you probably do, Jason, how much control they have over that. I know that pay and attrition has been an issue at our office for a number of years, and it's a priority of mine to try to fix that. We just hired actually a new child support worker full-time, and we were going to be fully staffed until I found out that Jason is retiring. So we're going to have to hire another one. But Jason's been there over 3 decades, and
It's all Jason's fault.
It is.
Okay.
He deserves it. I think he's been there 33 years.
April 30th or April 29th is 32 years.
32 years.
So it's
So he was there under Bob Kirtley, under Claude, and now under me.
Right.
So where do we need to go? I mean, how can we attempt to resolve this at the state level?
Well,
What's the path?
As far as funding goes, here's what happens. The Commissioner for Income Support, which is part of the Cabinet for Health and Family Services, negotiates contract with the County Attorney Association. They come up with a final dollar amount, and then that dollar amount kind of gets split up. However, basically the Cabinet says, here's your money, and the different county attorneys have to say, that's not going to work. And I'll be honest, over the years, like I said, again, 3 decades, and I'm with Mr. Kirtley, they kind of went with whatever Bob wanted because, if anybody knows Bob Kirtley, Bob was like a force. He just basically bugged the crap out of you until you gave in. Right. But after he left, and there was a change in Frankfurt or whatever, and they started, and there was a change in how they did the funding. Child support funding is comprised of 2/3 federal money and 1/3 state money, and there were some new regulations that came down from the feds on how you could do stuff, and so the state has been very particular on how they do things, and the Cabinet is very particular on how they divide things out. So it's not necessarily something that the legislators can deal with. They can encourage the Cabinet to do something different, but that's, when only 1/3 of the pot is from state money, the Cabinet is more concerned about the feds than.
Okay.
Jason, do you mind if I ask a question? I think I know the answer to this, and you may know. Do county governments and other counties supplement child support divisions? I think they do, but I don't know if that's statewide. And that's sort of what you were asking.
Well, most of the county attorneys in the state run their child support divisions almost like a business. They get their money directly from the Cabinet and do what they can. Here, of course, in Daviess County, and I think there's a couple of other counties, Fiscal Court fronts money, and they get all their money back from the Cabinet. Some counties, I believe Jefferson County, which is the largest program in the state, does, I think, front some money for them. Some of the other counties around, they may not be a direct, here's some money to do it, but maybe it's like they don't pay rent over here for this place, or they cover some expense. It may not be a direct outlay, but it's in there somehow or another. So in some of these counties, the way it works out, every county attorney has its own agreement with how they get their money and if they're fiscal court, or if they have another way to get funding. But here's the thing that kind of messes with child support enforcement in Kentucky. 75% of child support cases in Kentucky are handled by only 25% of the counties. The other 75% of the counties only have 25%. We have like the top 10 counties are a huge chunk of what the total caseload is statewide. So the funding formula that the Cabinet's trying to use has to take that into account. So, the smaller counties may benefit from it, the bigger counties kind of get penalized by it. So right now, the formula they're using, the basic formula they're using is you get $175 per case. That's it. We have over 5,000 cases. And what happens in a lot of instances is, okay, you got $100,000 last year, some little county, 100,000. You're going to get $100,000 next year. And they just do continuing budgets. And that's happened a lot. That's why I say when we look at, like going back to 2014, our budget has been within $50,000 of where it's been the whole time. And prior to 2014, it was like the same for like 10 years. I mean, they look at it every so often, says, here's your money, and it stays that way.
I think our budget is just under $1 million. Isn't
It
that
is
right?
900, if I believe, all right, it's 927,000 right now, I believe, which actually went up 5%, I believe, or 7%. We actually got back the money we lost under the Governor Bevin's 5% across-the-board budget cut. I think that was in 2017. We're back to the level we had then. We lost that when he did this across-the-board thing. That included us, and like I said, we went several years, and now we finally, in this budget, we got it back.
Right.
But it's my understanding for the upcoming fiscal year, the 927 is going to be the amount. And, good luck to you. So,
Thank you, Mr.
did I answer
Roberts.
the question?
Well, no.
No, I've had other people tell me that. I guess going directly, can the legislators do something?
Correct.
They can inquire about it, but I don't know that they'll be able to. They cannot directly affect the
But
issue.
they can do a Bob Kirtley.
They can.
Okay?
Yes, they can do a
They
Bob Kirtley.
Keep asking
Right.
to address it.
Yes.
There's nothing. That's why.
There's nothing they can do legislatively, I believe,
Okay.
but they can still, harass the cat.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Thank you, County Attorney.
Yes, sir.
Just now for the events side of this equation. April 13th, they will have the Business Hall of Fame at the Convention Center at 11:30, honoring Billy Joe Miles, Don Penn Moore, and Tommy Thompson, two of the business individuals, one deceased, to be recognized for all the good that they've done in our community. Just one last thing. I understand that our judge executive, for the first time, went on spring break with his children last week. How did it go, Judge? How was that spring break for the first time?
It was very nice.
Even though some county attorney bugged you about some FYI issue, you still enjoyed it, right?
Yeah, and county engineer.
Yeah, county attorney. Yeah, that's who it was. It was the dude over here on the end.
He was trying to get me to think about him like my predecessor.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. I just want to piggyback real quick on Commissioner Cassin's reminder to folks that we're having the community cleanup. And I just want to say, if you're unable to go to the meeting spot, if you're unable to do absolutely nothing but pick up trash on your block, I would encourage you to do it. Because if all of us pitch in, the people that are doing it as teams and in a competitive fashion, and then those of us who might not be able to do anything more than pick up our yard or our neighbors' yards, we're going to have an impact. And I truly believe that if people notice that we have a cleaner city, that maybe fewer people will throw trash out. And I hope that's something that changes. We've got a note here, Farmers Market opening day is April 15th, 8 a.m. to 12, and that's at 1205 Triplet Street. And to Commissioner Marksberry's comment about, what did you call it, food insecurities. Certainly there's good food to be purchased there straight from their fields and gardens. So the last thing I want to mention is that April is National Distracted Driving Awareness Month. And I've got a whole page here. I'm not going to read it, but I'll just say, when you're driving, try to pay attention, and not to these. Put your cell phones down and focus on the task at hand, which is driving, so that you will be safe and all the others on the roadways will be safe. And that's all. Yes, sir. Sure.
In 2012, my brother and another man were killed in an accident caused by a distracted driver. And this was down in Tennessee. He was a mile from his home. And this guy was playing with his phone. It was raining a little bit. He wasn't paying attention. He rear-ended a van, sent it across the center lane. They hit head on my brother, killed a guy in the van and my brother. The driver walked away unhurt. And this was back in 2012, before there were many laws on the books, and especially down in Tennessee. He got fined $5 for following too close. He kills 2 people, $5, and he didn't have insurance either, so he got a $200 fine for that in Tennessee. And again, he walked away from everything. So distracted driving is a really big deal to me. So I would encourage, where's Mr. Youngman? It bugs the crap out of me to see people heads down, driving down. So I would wish we could set up some program. We're just waving at people. We see you doing this. To do something about it. But that is rules. I'm passionate about that. If you know, now you can also, someone who lost a relative to distracted driving. So thank you for bringing that up. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Jason.
Yes, sir. Without further business, this meeting is adjourned.